Before you pause this video, please notice that there are 7 possible table arrangements available to complete the 3 given tasks. The first arrangement has the countries arranged in alphabetical order. The next arrangement lists the world share of rhenium production in ascending order. Next we have rhenium production rank. Then we have world share of osmium production, then osmium production rank, then world share of bismuth production, and finally bismuth production rank. Okay, now please pause the video and complete the tasks before continuing. Okay, let's begin with the first statement. It concerns the top 3 osmium-producing countries, so let's identify those 3 countries. We'll do so by arranging the table by the osmium production rank. From here, we can see that countries F and B were ranked number 1 and number 3 in osmium production. However, the country ranked number 2 is not included in this table. When we examine the bismuth production of countries B and F, we can see that they combined to produce 23% of the world's bismuth in 2009. Now, since we're not given any information about the country that ranked number 2 in osmium production, we might conclude that this missing country may have produced enough bismuth so that its production, when combined with countries B and F, accounted for more than half of the world's bismuth. However, for this to happen, the missing country would have had to have produced over 27% of the world's bismuth. This is impossible. It's impossible because the table shows us that the first and second ranked bismuth producers are already accounted for. Since the second ranked country produced 19% of the world's bismuth, we know that the missing country must have produced less than 19%. In fact, since the top 5 bismuth producers are already accounted for, the very best rank that the missing country could have is 6th, which means the missing country must have produced much less than the required 27%. So given all of this, we can see that the first statement here is not true. Okay, now let's examine the second statement. To solve this one, we'll need some extra room, so let's remove this text for a moment. Okay, to begin, it might be useful to assign a value to the actual amount of rhenium produced in 2009. Let's say that the total world production was 100 units. Now, the question involves a hypothetical situation involving countries B and C. Now, the table tells us that these 2 countries produced 30% and 20% of all of the rhenium produced in 2009. So if we say that 100 units of rhenium were produced worldwide, then country B would have produced 30 units, and country C would have produced 20 units. Now, I should also mention here that country D would have produced 15 units. Now, at this point, we need to consider what would have happened if the 2 countries had doubled their production. Well, country B would have produced 60 units, and country C would have produced 40 units. Now here comes the most important part. If these countries had produced these new amounts, the total rhenium produced would have been 150 units. Now, the statement suggests that under these hypothetical conditions, country D's world share of rhenium would have been 10%. Well, if country D produced 15 units of rhenium, and a total of 150 units were produced, then country D's world share would have been 10%. So we can conclude with certainty that the second statement here is true. Finally, we have statement C. Since this statement involves rhenium, let's arrange the table by world rank in rhenium production. Now, when we examine the rankings, we can see that we're missing the 3rd ranked country. What can we conclude about the amount of rhenium that this missing country produced? Well, since the 2nd and 4th ranking countries produced 20% and 15% of the world's rhenium, we can conclude that the missing 3rd ranked country must have produced between 15% and 20% of the world's rhenium. So at the very most, the missing country could have produced nearly 20% of the world's rhenium. Now, even if that missing country had produced 20%, that would have taken the current sum of 79% and increased it to 99%, in which case we'd still need at least 1 more rhenium-producing country to bring the total up to 100%. So as you can see, we need at least 8 countries to bring that total to 100%. As such, statement 3 is true, so these are the final answers.